This year's Lakers team has plenty of big names and talent, but they also have a secret weapon that isn't getting talked about nearly enough, and that's Jordan Goodwin. Jordan literally joined the team in the middle of the season, and ever since then, he's been one of the best defenders on the entire roster. He is a defensive menace, and his entire role is to cause as much chaos on the court as possible. And that's exactly what he does. He'll pick up full court against some of the best guards in the league and make their lives difficult for the rest of the game. If you need someone that hustles 24/7 and will dive for every loose ball, then Jordan's your guy. Being able to pick your pocket, feast in the passing lanes, and block shots is just one aspect of his defense. Jordan's also an incredible rebounder for someone that's only 6'3" and somehow always has the ability to be in the right place at the right time. He basically does all the dirty work and completely changes the defense when he's in the game. The way he's able to speed players up and make them overthink is incredible. And possibly the most impressive part to me is the fact that he's this good defensively while not even being a top tier athlete. He still has a good amount of athleticism, but it's his IQ that takes him to another level. He's just the definition of a winning player that makes winning plays. Then him wearing that black mask every game makes him that much more mysterious. A guy that hustles, does the dirty work, and wears a black mask, this dude really might be Batman. The Lakers just signed him to a full contract for a reason. His impact is needed. When the Lakers first traded for Luka Doncic, one of the biggest questions was how are they going to play defense? They not only lost one of the best defenders in the entire league in Anthony Davis, but they also lost arguably their best perimeter defender in Max Christie. Yet after losing both of them, they've been able to stay afloat on defense surprisingly well, to the point where they even had one of the best defenses in the league for like a month. I'm not here saying Jordan is the only reason for that, because that's very false, but he's definitely a part of it. The Lakers haven't been at the same level as of recently, but they've been dealing with a lot of injuries and they've had to play a lot of games with very little rest. Players have been in and out of the lineup, which has definitely caused a bit of chaos. Assignments are different every game, which has led to missed rotations and stuff like that. They've also played 11 games in 17 days. That's the most games a team has had to play in that time frame since 2021. They've just been hurt and tired, but they played great defense for a while, so I do think they can get back to it. The Lakers have to be almost perfect to keep their defense at an elite level, and that's what we saw them doing before. Dorian Finney-Smith has completely changed the team, and Jared Vanderbilt coming back has been massive, but what Jordan brings to the team is just as important. Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic are not known for their defense, and although they can score you 40 apiece on offense, the Lakers desperately needed another guard to come in and strictly defend off the bench. He literally took Cam Reddish's job and also has taken minutes from guys like Shake Milton and even first-round rookie Dalton Knecht. But the thing that makes Jordan Goodwin a true secret weapon is what he's able to do on offense. The Lakers are so stacked on offense that it allows Jordan to literally only have to focus on defense. You could say the same thing for Jared Vanderbilt. That helps him be even better on defense than they already were, but what Jordan brings offensively is what makes him so dangerous. By no means am I saying that he's a great offensive player with a deep bag. However, he's thriving in his role where he doesn't have to take a lot of shots. Right now, in his 20 games with the Lakers, he's averaging 6.5 points, 4 rebounds, and over 1 assist in 20 minutes a night. Those obviously are not the most insane stats, but you have to watch the games to actually see his full impact. However, the part that's really making him a viable option on offense is his efficiency. He's shooting 48% from the field and a whopping 43% from 3. Yeah, he's only taking about 2.5 threes a game, but like I said, he's thriving in that role where he doesn't have to take a lot of shots. 43% is by far his career high, and it is only a 20-game sample size, although if he can even remotely keep that up, he's going to get real minutes in the postseason. Playing alongside great passers like LeBron, Luka, and Austin is a shooter's dream, and they can get you wide open or essentially put you in position to score. I mean, just look at what Jackson Hayes has turned into. He's not even a shooter and is looking like a star playing alongside all of them. So on top of already not having to take a ton of shots every game, the shots he does take are almost always open. It really is a perfect fit. In his Lakers debut, he showed fans right away how good he can be. But then in his second game against the Jazz, he was even better. On a team with Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reaves, and a few other good offensive players, Jordan Goodwin scored 17 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, and had 2 steals. That was all in less than 22 minutes off the bench. And since then, he's had 4 more games with over 10 points and 5 more games with 2 or more steals. And even when he's not really involved on offense, he's always doing something on the other end, so there's never really a time where Jordan's not making some kind of impact. And it's crazy to think that he's been a pretty big part of the team, and the Lakers were able to pick him up for nothing. Jordan Goodwin was on a two-way contract and was actually playing in the G League before getting signed by the Lakers. They added him soon after the Luka trade to try to find someone to replace Max Christie. And although obviously that wasn't going to be an option, I think they did get the next best thing. But because he was on a two-way contract, they had to waive Cam Reddish to bring him up to the full roster. They did that because two-way players can't play in the playoffs, only guys on that 15-man roster. I saw a lot of people asking why they waited so long to sign him, and the answer is pretty simple. Two-way players have a certain number of NBA games that they're allowed to play, so it just makes more sense to keep 18 players on the roster and use up all those two-way games before cutting the roster down to add Jordan early. That, and you never know. If someone gets hurt, they might need help in another position, or if Jordan himself got hurt, they'd be able to bring someone else up instead. It's not like they were disrespecting him by not signing him early, it just makes more sense to keep everyone they have until they have to finalize their playoff roster. The reason they signed him when they did was because he was out of available two-way games. But they didn't only sign him for the rest of this season, they signed him to a 2-year minimum contract, which I honestly think is really smart. If things go well in the offseason, then you'll have him on a cheap contract for next year, and if things don't go well, then you don't really lose anything. If you can hustle, play defense, and hit your threes, then you have a spot on almost every roster in the NBA. However, Jordan Goodwin has such a specific play style that I feel like fits with the Lakers so perfectly. He's the size of a point guard, but isn't a true point guard, and you could even say that he's not a true shooting guard either. So on certain teams, he just won't fit, but on an offensive heavy team like the Lakers, that's exactly what they need alongside Luka and Austin Reaves. That specific playstyle is why teams weren't really going after him. It had to be a perfect fit if it was gonna work. I've seen fans from like every team he's played for so far say that they liked what he brought to the team. He's had a very interesting and pretty wild journey so far throughout his career. He first spent 4 years at St. Louis University and had 2 seasons where he averaged over 10 rebounds a game as a guard. And not only that, he also averaged 2 steals per game throughout his entire college career, which is crazy. Then he went undrafted before signing with the Wizards, where he'd spend most of his rookie season in the G League. But then he was traded to the Suns as part of the Bradley Beal trade and was honestly pretty good for them. There were actually a lot of Suns fans that really liked him, they just wanted a little more than he could give them. Then he played a few games for Memphis before going back to the G League. Now he's a 20-minute-a-night rotation player on a team with championship aspirations. It's a pretty wild story, and the fact that he's at where he's at now shows how hard he works. I mean, he earned a playoff rotation spot after playing for the team for like a month. Of course, he still makes his mistakes here and there, but for the most part, he's been better than anyone could have asked for. It also doesn't help that the Lakers have been really hurt over the last few weeks, which has caused Goodwin to have to step up into a bigger role. However, when he's actually in the role he's supposed to be in, then he looks great, and he's getting better with every single game that he plays. But let me know what you think about Jordan Goodwin in the comments, and please leave a like on the video to support the channel. Also, subscribe if you're new for more basketball videos just like this one.